Everyone, welcome back to Shruti IAS. This is video 2 of direct source of each question asked from polity, specifically from our Lakshmikanth book, which is our main source of preparation. Here in this video, you will find marked chapters and page numbers along with screenshots that have been attached in the PDF for 2006 paper. So in this series we are going to be covering 2005 to 2024 questions. This is the part 2 of that series. Before we begin, I have two things to say. One, apologies for the slight delay in continuing the series. I got a good response from people who watched the 2005 video. Due to some personal reasons, I could not continue it earlier, but now in the next coming 15 days, we will wrap up 20 years of polity questions. One more thing, I was suggested by a few people that it is a bit difficult to find this channel because of its name, Shruti IAS, on YouTube. So if some of you have like a minute to spare, like some name suggestions are welcomed. Now, okay. So anybody who is completely new here, the point of this video is to highlight Lakshmikanth with PYQs, the solutions and the other options that are given in a question. So why are we doing this? We are doing this to make a revision a little bit easier. Here in slide 2, I have shown a sample of my own Lakshmikanth book where I have marked the options as well as the correct answers in the book. Now, let's say I come back to revise this, 2 months down the line. We can't really remember everything that we have read, and sometimes even in our notes, it becomes very heavy for Lakshmikanth. So, at least the questions that have been asked in the last 20 years should be highlighted in the book, which will give us like a good 240, 250 to 300 questions, right? That have been asked, and it'll provide us as a good point of revision. uh, Sorry for the stammer. Okay, so let's just continue with the 2006 questions. Now here the question is, which one of the following subjects is under the union list in the 7th schedule of the Constitution of India? Four options are given: regulation of labor and safety in mines and oil fields, B, agriculture, C, fisheries, and D, public health. Now, if you see in Lakshmikanth appendix to union list, check point number 55. It is directly given on page number 709. Mark it. So this becomes our answer. And for the other options, we can check the state list on page number 710. Point number 6 is public health, point number 14 is agriculture, and point number 21 is fisheries, right? Moving ahead to the next question. Question number 2 says there is no point number 1 says there is no provision in the Constitution of India to encourage equal pay for equal work for both men and women. Point number 2, the Constitution of India does not define backward classes. So for this question, we can come to chapter number 9, Directives Principles of State Policy, page number 109. Here, under Article 39D, we can see it is written equal pay for equal work of men and women. So statement 1 becomes incorrect. There is provision in the Constitution of India to encourage equal pay for equal work for both men and women. Now, regarding point number 2, we should know that mostly Constitution does not define anything. Not things like these, and it does not give the definition of backward classes. I have searched the book entirely, and anybody who has read polity knows that, quite statements like these are usually incorrect. So a correct answer becomes point number 2, B, 2 only, right? Coming to question number 3, this topic, powers of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, is very popular with in UPSC prelims. You'll see it repeat over the years, maybe like 10 or 12 times, I think. So for point number 1, it says Rajya Sabha alone has the power to declare that it would be in national interest for the parliament to legislate with respect to a matter in the state list. Now, regarding this point, we can directly see in chapter 23, Parliament, page number 260. Point number 1, under the heading of special powers of Rajya Sabha, we see here that Article 249 says that Rajya Sabha can authorize the parliament to make laws on a subject enumerated in the state list. Right? For point number, so this one is correct. Like point number one is correct. Point number two, resolutions approving the proclamation of emergency are passed only by the Lok Sabha. No, so here the statement is incorrect. I'll show you how. If you check in chapter 17 of Lakshmikanth Emergency Provisions, page number 174. Check the first line. Here, parliamentary approval and duration for emergency. The proclamation of emergency must be approved by both the houses of the parliament within 1 month of the date of its issue. Now, so I mean, there's some history through this also. We can just read the paragraph if you want to. Originally, it was 2 months. It was changed after 44th Constitutional Amendment Act in 1978 after the emergency happened, the national emergency in India happened. However, if the emergency is issued at a time when Lok Sabha has been dissolved or the dissolution of Lok Sabha takes place during the period of 1 month without approving the proclamation, then the proclamation survives until 30 days from the first sitting of the Lok Sabha after its constitution, such that Rajya Sabha has already approved it in the meantime. So this makes our statement number 2 incorrect. So the answer becomes 1 only. I hope it's clear. Like if there's any confusion, please write in comments, and all sorts of feedback is welcome. Moving ahead to question number 4. These is our another assertion reason type questions which have made a comeback in UPSC Prelims in 2003, 2023 and 2024 papers. We can see that these have been asked earlier as well. Now here the assertion is, in India every state has a high court in its territory. Reason is given as the Constitution of India provides for a high court in each state. Here if we check chapter 34 High Court, page number 353, we can directly see in the paragraph 2 first line. So the second statement is correct. The Constitution of India does provide each state for like to have a high court, but by the 7th Amendment Act of 1956, it authorizes 2 or more states to have a common high court. And our statement 1, or maybe like the assertion, becomes incorrect, as currently we have 28 states as of 2024 but only 25 high courts in India. So answer D is correct. Coming to question number 5, what does the 104 Constitutional Amendment Bill relate to? Now, so I have a problem with this particular question. I'm a little bit confused. I might have added it wrong here, but it was given in a lot of 2006 polity papers. It talks about the 104th Constitutional Amendment Bill. While I could not find anything specific to this, but the 104 Constitutional Amendment Act has been passed in 2019. The answer has been given as C. So if anybody knows why, if I am confused or if there is something to this, please let us know in the comments. Moving ahead to question number 6, which is about constitutional bodies. The question is, which among the following commissions was set up in pursuance of a definitive provision under an article of the Constitution of India? 4 options have been given: University Grants Commission, National Human Rights Commission, Election Commission, and Central Vigilance Commission. Now here the answer is Election Commission. We can check that in chapter 43, Election Commissions, page number 419. First paragraph specifically writes down, the Election Commission is a permanent and an independent body established by the Constitution of India directly to ensure free and fair elections in the country. Article 324 of the Constitution provides that the power of superintendence, election and control of elections lies with the Election Commission. Now let's read up on what is given about National Human Rights Commission and Central Vigilance Commission in Lakshmikanth. So for NHRC, check chapter 57, page number 473. Now this was established as a statutory body, not a constitutional body, under the Protection of Human Rights Act in 1993. And if you look at chapter 64, Central Vigilance Commission, here page number 499 tells us the Central Vigilance Commission is the main agency blah blah blah. It was established in 1964 by an executive resolution and then conferred a statutory status by Central Vigilance Commission Act 2003. So any body which is not directly mentioned by the constitution and which has like a status given by an act is a statutory body. So here we can directly see that election commissions out of these four options is the correct option. Now, University Grants Commission is not directly given in Lakshmikanth, but there is some mention of it in Chapter 15, Center State Relations, in the last paragraph as an extra constitutional device. But like, I mean, we get the answer even if you don't go there. We get the answer just by reading up on Election Commission and the other commissions. Coming to question number 7, the topic is interim government 1946. Which portfolio was held by Dr. Rajendra Prasad in the interim government formed in the year 1946? Now to check this, we go to chapter number 1, historical background, page number 10. Here there's a table 1.1 where it is given like a list of the members and the portfolios they held. So Dr. Rajendra Prasad held the portfolio for food and agriculture, external affairs and common wealth relations was held by Jawaharlal Nehru. Right, so our correct answer is food and agriculture. Coming to question number 8, so a person who has held office as a permanent judge of a high court cannot plead or act in any court or before any authority in India except the Supreme Court. Point number 2, a person is not qualified for appointment as a judge of a high court in India unless he has for at least 5 years held a judicial office in the territory of India. Now let's look for the answers of these points. So we come to chapter 34, page number 357. Chapter 34 is high courts in Lakshmikanth. Now in page 357, point number 6, if you look at ban on practice after retirement. So point number 1 becomes wrong because here the retired permanent judges of high court are prohibited from pleading or acting in any court or before any authority in India except the Supreme Court and other high courts. Why it is wrong? Because here it is only given Supreme Court and not other high courts. They are allowed in other high courts as well. For point number 2, if you look at qualifications, page number 354, again the same chapter, chapter 34, high courts. If you read point number 2, point A, he should have held a judicial office in the territory of India for 10 years. In our option, it's given 5 years. So again, this is incorrect. Our answer becomes neither 1, neither 2. Coming to question number 9, which of the following points is not correctly matched? Now here, the answer is, the thing which is not correctly matched is the year 1966, Gujarat becomes a state, which happened in 1960. Now, to check the sources of this, we go to chapter 6, Union and its territories, page number 54. First paragraph, 8th line, like first line, the State Reorganization Act, and in the 8th line, it tells us, like, where the Telugu speaking areas of Hyderabad state Okay, so coming to question number 9, which of the following pairs is not correctly matched? Here the correct answer is D. This pair is not correctly matched. Gujarat became a state in 1960, not 1966. Coming to the sources of this, we go to chapter 6, Union and Territories, page number 54. In the first paragraph, the States Reorganization Act established new state of Kerala, blah blah blah. We go to the 8th line, it merged the Telugu speaking areas of Hyderabad state with the Andhra state to create Andhra Pradesh. So ठीक है, State Reorganization Act is related to the Andhra Pradesh Act. Point number 2, Treaty of Yandabu is related to Assam. So now this is not really given in Lakshmikanth, it's given in Spectrum. This treaty was signed in 1826 and this is correct. Coming to point number C, state of Bilaspur, Himachal Pradesh. Now same chapter, page number 57. So we check like under the table 6.4.3, Himachal Pradesh and Bilaspur New State Acts, and it tells like how the new state of Himachal Pradesh was formed by uniting the existing states of Himachal Pradesh and Bilaspur, right? So for point number D, we check the source here again on same page, page 54. Like we turn back 2 pages, we come to page 54. Under new states and union territories created after 1956. Under the point Maharashtra and Gujarat, it is directly given in 1960 the bilingual state of Bombay was divided into two separate states, Maharashtra for Marathi speaking people and Gujarat for Gujarati speaking people. Coming to the next question, question number 10 talks about the constitutional amendments that have happened. Now, here, point number one, free and compulsory education to the children of 6 to 14 years of age by the state was made a fundamental right by 76th Amendment to the Constitution of India. This answer is given on chapter 8, Fundamental Rights, page number 90. Under right to education, we can check here that Article 21A, which was added by the 86th Constitutional Amendment Act of 2002, not the 76th Amendment Act. Point number 3. So 2 is not in Lakshmikanth because it's not really necessary to polity. Coming to point number 3, education was included in the concurrent list by the 42nd Amendment 1976 to the Constitution of India. So for this we can go to constitutional amendments at a glance in Lakshmikanth, which is given on page number 719. And if we look under the 42nd Amendment Act of 1976, point number 15, it says shifted 5 subjects from the state list to the concurrent list: education, forest, protection of wildlife and birds, weights, measures, and administration of justice. So a correct answer becomes 2 and 3, and 1 is incorrect as we have just seen. Coming to question number 11, which is about the Charter Acts. Now, here, point number 1, the Charter Act 1853 abolished East India Company's monopoly over Indian trade. So this statement is incorrect. I kind of forgot to mark it in red, but we can check in chapter number 1, historical background, page number 3. Under Charter Act of 1813, the feature of this act were as follows. It abolished the trade monopoly of the company in India, that is, the Indian trade was thrown open to British merchants, thrown open to all British merchants. So we can see that 1813 is the correct answer, not 1853. So statement 1 is incorrect. Coming to statement 2, same chapter, page number 4. Under Crown Rule 1858-1947, Government of India Act of 1858, we read here, I think on the 4th line, the act known as the Act for Good Governance of India abolished the East India Company and transferred all the powers of the government territories and revenues to the British Crown. This is exactly what is given in this point, so which makes this point correct. So the answer becomes B2 only. Now coming to the last question for today's video. The topic is public interest litigation, which is chapter 29 in a Lakshmikanth book. So on page number 309 in the second paragraph, last line, we can see that in India the PIL was introduced in the early 1980s. Justice V.R. Krishna Iyer and Justice P.N. Bhagwati were the pioneers of the concept of PIL. Okay. Okay, so I think we are more or less done with today's video. Uh, I did not spend a lot of time discussing things like point by point, as in, like, why something is happening, because, when we study polity through any of the courses that we have taken or we study it directly, we know most of these things. And the purpose of this video was very specifically to make you mark it in the book. So I hope you could follow along and, pause the video whenever needed and mark it in your own books. I hope this helps. Tomorrow we are going to do like the 2007 video that we have. Thank you so much for your time, and do let me know how we can improve this initiative.